We're here with Keisha Sethi.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, lovely to meet you. She's a fitness coach who specializes in women's health and hormone balance. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm really excited to talk about PCOS and women's health.
And that's exactly what we need. So, talk about your story.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about me. So, let's start with when I was diagnosed. So I was diagnosed with PCOS when I was around 13 years old, but the symptoms did start a little bit earlier. Being in primary school, I think I was the first girl in my class to start her period and skip out on the year 5 swimming lessons, which I really enjoyed. And once I got my second period, they then disappeared for a while. My mum had no idea what was going on at this point. And we went to the GP, but at that point I feel like even now PCOS isn't something that's so deeply researched, and back then it really wasn't. So it was like, don't worry, she'll grow out of it, her periods will get fine. I started actually having, and this might have been a sign of endometriosis at that time, but I started having really painful periods. A random period would come up, it would be extremely painful, I'd pass out, there was just a whole thing. And of course, having a very concerned mum at that time, she would take me in and out of the doctors and they would be like, well, there's nothing we can do, you seem fine, go home, just you'll grow out of it. I used to travel to India every single year growing up to see my grandparents. So one year when we went to India, I went to the doctors over there and they actually did some further testing. They did my blood test, they did an ultrasound, and they were like, she has PCOS. And at that point, my mum was like, what on earth is PCOS? So that got explained to her as, you know, she has polycystic ovary syndrome, she needs to be on the pill, and she's probably never going to be able to have kids. For a South Asian mum to hear that, or any mum to hear that, I guess, it's very daunting, and possibly in the South Asian culture quite embarrassing as well.
So there was a cultural factor that played a part.
Exactly. And at that point, at that age, I thought nothing of it. I was like, oh, I'm not going to have kids, I don't really care about that. And, you know, you just go about your day-to-day life. I went through years and years after that, just ignoring it. I did feel certain symptoms, like I was like, why is my hair falling out so much? And, you know, early on in high school, I'd compare myself to other girls all the time. We'd change in change for PE, and we would be all in the same like area changing, all the girls. And I remember I would constantly try and find somebody who looked like me in somebody else, but I couldn't see it. So I would be so shy about my excessive body hair, because that's a symptom of PCOS, that I would be like, oh, I need to go to the toilet. I'd take my PE bag with me and I'd change in the toilets, because I felt ashamed to be fully myself, because nobody else ever spoke about PCOS. And now, as somebody who's researched and dived into it so much, PCOS is so common. 1 in 10 women experience this. So in that room of probably 30 of us, 3 of us probably were experiencing PCOS symptoms. So that's a little bit about my journey. I could probably go on for days.
Yeah, so if you could go back and sort of like give yourself some piece of advice with what you know now, in a way, what would you tell yourself growing up?
I think I'd tell myself just one simple thing, is that you are not alone, because you feel so alone. From the moment you're diagnosed with, I suppose, anything, if you feel as though you can't speak about it with others, whether it be PCOS, endometriosis, absolutely anything, that loneliness and those self-isolating thoughts that you create in your mind can make you feel quite away from society. So that is one thing that I would tell myself.
Definitely. And thanks to people like you now, there's more information, we're spreading awareness, that's the reason why we're here now.
Yeah.
So in a way, you've grown with PCOS, and PCOS has grown with you on a parallel line. So is there still some challenges that you're facing now with PCOS, and
Yeah.
how does that affect your day-to-day life?
Yeah, I love that question because PCOS cannot be cured. So you may see things online. I feel like there's so much on social media sometimes that it can be overwhelming, and thinking that, oh, I will start working on my PCOS and that's it, will go away. PCOS is something that needs to constantly be managed. So ever since I started managing my PCOS symptoms, there have been improvements in my hair fall. If you would have seen me maybe even 6 years ago, you would have probably seen my scalp over here, because my hair was falling out in clumps. I also grew up in a lot of high stress situations, so at certain points of my childhood I was actually homeless. We lived in a very, very small, probably the size of a car, just me, my mum and my dog. Loads of nights I didn't actually have food. I had to drop out of school when I was very young, and start working at a young age. So all of those things contributed to the symptoms that I would experience. My PCOS now is well managed, but I notice myself if I've had a stressful week, if I haven't eaten in the way that's fulfilling my body from the inside out, if I haven't taken some time to have some herbal teas and really slow down in such a fast-paced society, my symptoms do get worse.
Yeah. So it's a lot of self-care and knowing your body and understanding it. So is there any specific routine that you have, or some sort of activities that you find being beneficial for yourself?
Yeah, routine I absolutely do not have. I have a toddler and that's very hard to have a routine. However, there are things that I do every single day without fail to fill my cup, to make sure I can pour into other aspects of my life. So I will make sure I take some time for exercise. I will, take a little moment in the day and know when back in the day I would have gone for maybe 2 or 3 cups of coffee. Instead, I'm brewing myself something herbal, something energizing, maybe some ginseng, maybe some spearmint that's going to lower my androgens. Those little rituals in the day bring me peace. So I will also, every night without fail, I will meditate. Even if it's for 3 minutes, even if it's for 2 minutes, I will take some time to switch off my phone, not look at Instagram, not look at TikTok, and just be in that moment, and that really helps me.
That's a lot of mind and body.
Yes.
They go hand in hand.
Yes, and I think there are aspects of when you get diagnosed now, in this society that we're in right now, where you will be told, oh, you probably need a strict diet, cut out carbohydrates and things like that. And I think recognizing that with PCOS management, there is no one size fits all. It's about understanding what works for you and your body, and having a tailored program around that, and really working with both your body but then also your mind. Because if you are able to slow down your mind, understand how to manage your thoughts, that's going to help with your stress levels, because stress, increases the PCOS symptoms that we experience. But then also, if you work with your body, the way that you end up digesting food and the whole process around that is also helped.
So this was Keisha, but if we're talking about fitness with Keisha, what is your approach to your programs and all the lovely stuff that you create for women and to help us?
So when Fitness with Keisha came about, I really wanted to be vulnerable about my own journey and firstly see if anybody would resonate with me. So that's when I first started speaking about PCOS. I would share little videos about what I was going through and maybe small things that would help me in the day. My process of helping somebody with PCOS is understanding them. What is it that they do for work? What are their stresses? What are their relationships like? What vitamins are they currently taking? Are they currently taking like a huge box of vitamins and drowning themselves in random supplements that they don't even know is helping them? Are they in a stressful work environment? Are they exercising and moving their body in a way that they enjoy? And then taking this information, do me and my team sit and create them a program.
Of course. So it's a very individualized program that you
100%.
follow.
Yeah. So I know for me, I make sure to have very well balanced meals throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer to eat smaller meals because I know I have the time to actually eat them.
Mm-hmm.
But then I have certain clients who are really busy who can actually just have those 3 meals a day. So, you know, balancing out their meals is helpful, making sure that they are actually like well balanced meals with their protein, with their complex carbohydrate, with a fiber option, which is going to help with their blood sugar levels. Getting them to add little things, like it doesn't even need to be specifically a herbal tea, but if they're having some warm water, why don't you add a little bit of cinnamon into it? Add some manuka honey, so many anti-inflammatory properties. Those habits that you build, those little rituals that you create will last, because ultimately nobody's not going to enjoy a nice warm cup of tea, you know. So yeah.
So there's, in the way that you speak about your nutrition and what you suggest, there's some sort of science. There's some scientific knowledge behind it.
Yeah.
How did you get around it? Was it a trial and error on yourself, or was it more research and finding your own fitness with Keisha to then become someone who could support us?
I think it was a bit of both. When you study personal training and nutrition, there is no part of personal training and nutrition that teaches you how to cater for somebody with a hormonal imbalance. A lot of the books are like, okay, you have a client, they have this goal, do this. So when I was doing that initially, bear in mind, I actually have a very tech background. I used to work in like fintech and the tech world. So whilst I was doing that, I was also doing my coaching and like understanding more about women's health. And I was trying to apply those same things to my life. I was so stressed in a 9 to 5, and I was, traveling loads of hours to work, like an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back. And I would get really tired on top of the PCOS fatigue. So applying just the basics didn't work for me. So I recognized that there was going to have to be some trial and error and a moment of discomfort for me to figure out what works for me and my body. After I started applying that to myself, I started applying that to other people that I started working with on the side, until later on I was able to grow my community and build my platform to the point where now I can do this full time and actually help others and make an impact in their life.
Of course. And actually, one of the way we met, and my opinion, one of the most important parts of what you do is your social events. If you'd like to talk about it a little bit more in detail.
Of course. So I run walks every single month. This is something that I started in September of 2024. I realised that being somebody on social media who speaks so much about PCOS, I am actually, even though on social media I may seem like an extremely extroverted person, I'm quite introverted in a way. I love meeting people. I love understanding their energy and just getting to know other human beings who might be going through a tough time. So if I'm able to help them by even giving them a little compliment or anything, like I want to help them get through their day better. When I started doing these walks, I recognized how important they were, because the PCOS community, more than anything, we need love and we need empathy and we need understanding. And you will receive that wholly when you get to meet someone, have a little chit chat, and actually get to be vulnerable. A lot of the times we're not able to be vulnerable and open about what we experience on a day-to-day basis. So this was about creating a space for women to feel like they are meeting people who are going through similar things like them, and they don't feel alone. Again, you're not alone, and you can talk about these things. You can feel like you are a part of something bigger. So when we met, we were on a walk, and I thought that was so beautiful, because otherwise I would have never met you. And walking is such a nice ritual to have in your life, because not only is it amazing physically, but you're getting some fresh air and you're actually getting outside. And I think I said this on the walk, but you're not going for a walk to go to the shops. There's no intention behind it besides from relaxing yourself and walking and meeting other people and having a nice little time. And we don't do enough things in life right now to have a nice time. We do things with another intention, or with the intention of, oh, I've got to go and pick up some milk because I ran out, let me just go get my steps in. You aren't just walking. And I think the just walking makes such a difference.
Just what you were just saying, just reminding me of what you said earlier about the fact that you always take some time to meditate, because in the way that you speak, I feel like there's a process of thought there that is I hear it being very natural from you.
Yeah.
I know that every word you say is very well thought. So is there any sort of like process of meditation that you follow, something that helps you when you are on your own with yourself?
Honestly, I started meditating when I was homeless and living in that shed, which I haven't spoken about enough. And I didn't know what meditation was. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew that I was sitting in a space and I was just breathing in and out. And I do that same thing now. It's not changed. I don't have any fancy way of doing it, but I just sit and I close my eyes, or sometimes my eyes will be open. I am definitely a big crystal girl, so I have a lot of crystals at home. And sometimes I will sit with my selenite or, any other crystal. Actually, fun fact, I have a crystal in my bra right now.
Oh!
But
Which one?
I have tourmaline. Yeah, black tourmaline. That's a little fun one. But yeah, just little things in the day to like ground you and just make you feel a little bit more present. And meditation doesn't have to be fancy. Also, meditation doesn't have to be meditation. You don't have to sit there. If you're not a person who can sit there and close their eyes and actually think, meditation can be going for a walk. It can be going and getting your workout in. Meditation is just about being in a moment and being fully present in that moment. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Another interesting part of what you do and that I want you to talk about is your herbal tea. Is it Shanti Tea?
Shanti Tea.
So how do the blends of the Shanti Tea help us and help our hormones?
Yeah, so
again, for that science that's behind it.
Yeah, of course. So I come from an Indian background. We love our teas. We love our masala teas, putting a bit of cinnamon, a little bit of cardamom into things. And you just know when you drink a cup of tea, it makes you feel warm and cozy inside. I always want to feel warm and cozy. Even in the summer, I want to feel cozy. So when I started blending herbs, if you were to come into my kitchen, I've just got herbs and spices everywhere. Like, I have an overflow of herbs and spices, which is so nice.
Amazing.
And I just put things together, and I realized that there were certain things that I was always putting together that actually made me feel good. I used to be the person who would reach for, I did at one point have a pre-workout addiction. So I was literally addicted to having around maybe 300 milligrams of caffeine a day, which is a lot because one cup of coffee has 30 mgs.
Wow.
And so that became my life, not to work out. I didn't take pre-workout. I took pre-workout to combat the fatigue that I'd experienced with PCOS and to just work. Like, to log into work in the morning, I would take a scoop of pre-workout. I don't recommend. And it was after I went through the withdrawals of pre-workout, the withdrawals of caffeine, that I realized that I needed to find a way to find that energy and feel that energy, but also heal and feel healed. So I have 3 blends with my Shanti Teas, and these are blends that I've been mixing and matching for ages. And the only reason I came out with the teas in the tea bag was because after I gave birth, I actually realized maybe I will find it hard raising a whole human being and taking care of myself. It's actually hard work,
It's something.
So after I gave birth, I was like, this is definitely not sustainable because I can't carry a crying baby on my hip and get like 10, 11 herbs out and, all of that. So I decided to really refine my blends and basically make them into some sustainable, recyclable tea bags that you can reuse and put them out there for other women to have as well. So all 3 blends, so we have one hormone happiness blend. It's got things like burdock root in it, licorice, everything that you will need in your body to help manage Not just, you know, your mood and the cravings that you get. This one's like naturally a little bit more sweet, but it's also got things that are going to help with your blood sugar levels. Then we have the Blissful Buzz blend, which has the ginseng, it has ginkgo, it has spearmint, and if you've ever done research on what would help androgen levels with PCOS, 3 cups of spearmint tea really helps. And this also has green mate in it. If you've ever had green mate tea, it's very potent, it's a form of green tea, it's very nice. So yeah, this has all the things that you need to have that energy without having the jitters and the shakes or the anxiety from an overdose of caffeine, but also just to feel well rested in the day. And then the last blend is probably my favourite, because I am a big evening, like, you know, unwind girly. So I like the Slumber Shanti tea, which has lavender, it has chamomile, it has valerian root, so everything that you need to make sure you have a great sleep. And all the clients that we coach, I would say like 90% of them all drink these teas, and we work on specifically, you know, improving their sleep quality, we work on boosting their mood. So I always see this in their check-in and they're like, oh, I had the tea last night and I slept amazing. So yeah.
Fantastic. When you say we, for the people who don't know, when you say people that we coach,
Yes.
it's because you have a team with you
Yes,
now, and
I do.
people who believe in what you believe.
Yes. So I'm very grateful I was able to grow my coaching, and I am able to grow my coaching to have a team of 3 incredible coaches at the moment. I know it's going to grow to more, but I'm very selective with who I choose to coach these clients, because going through PCOS is a lot. So all of our coaches have also experienced PCOS. They've now all been coaching women with PCOS for over 3 years. One of our coaches for over 5 years, and you know, we're pre and postnatal qualified. We help women not just feel better with their symptoms, but actually live better. So the lifestyle is created, and they understand that it's not a cure, it's management. You don't necessarily need to opt for the pill. You know, you want to treat the root cause of your PCOS, and a lot of the time the root cause lays in our lifestyle.
Yeah, definitely. So if you would have to run us through like one of the plans that you create, like a standard plan. Obviously I know that each one of them differs, but would you focus more on the fitness side of it, so like exercise, or more on the nutrition, a blend of both?
I would say there is a very equal split between habits you create for your lifestyle and we help you create. Everyone's habits are different. If we have somebody who's studying at university, let's say for example, who's really stressed out with exams, I've got a couple of clients like this. I know the rest of the team have quite a few. We would work on habits to incorporate maybe a little bit of breath work when anxiety is very high. We would look at getting in your workouts first thing in the day, because if you pour into your cup before you start your day, you will then have the energy to pour into everything else that you do. We will look into then also creating a meal plan for you. The meal plan might be a little bit more budget friendly, it will be quicker, meals that you can prep, so you're not worried that, oh, you know, you've got a whole day of like assignments and things that you have to do, you've just got your food ready for you. Then we'd look at workouts and making sure that we're tailoring the workouts to your specific goal as well, because not everyone with PCOS has a weight loss goal, not everyone with PCOS is overweight. So therefore, whatever your goal is, we'll create a training plan for that. Yeah.
And that's great. I mean, the reason why we wanted you here today was because this is a university that is populated by performers, singers, musicians, and I felt like there was the need to talk about this more, because there's so many women in this university, and we all go through different struggles with our body. In this industry, it's very demanding, demands us a lot from our body image and the way we balance body and mind. So if you'd have to suggest anything in terms of strengthening our bodies as females in the music industry, as females in the performing arts industry, what would your piece of advice be in terms of endurance and strength?
You're all creatives, right? So I say we have to look at our life as like this incredible art piece, or our body as this incredible art piece. You've got to take care of it, you've got to nurture it, and sometimes it's okay that you're going to need to add new aspects to it. You need to create more depth to it. So how can you do that in a way that you enjoy? And I think enjoyment is a big part of it. If someone was to tell me right now that to manage my PCOS, I need to do 50 burpees every single day, I will cry, because I cannot do burpees and I don't like them. But if someone was to say to you, right, you know, you've got a really like stressful and you know, demanding performance coming up that you have to practice for day in, day out, what are you going to do to fill your cup to make sure that you can be the best version of you when you do that practice that you have coming up? Does that mean that if you enjoy swimming, you know, you go for maybe, you know, I don't know, 20 lengths 3 times a week? Again, it doesn't need to be every single day. 3 times a week, just to give yourself some time away from everything that you put, you know, a lot of your all into. Or does it mean that, you know, you might want to take some time and actually in the evening wind down, put your phone on do not disturb, cook yourself a nice meal, romanticize it, why not? And it's that whole aspect of, we are now adults. Yes, we have all of these responsibilities and deadlines, but you also do have the freedom to take care of yourself in the way that you should know that you deserve. So should you not romanticize cooking yourself a nice meal and actually fueling your body with some goodness? Should you not romanticize, you know, putting on your new gym leggings and going and getting a workout that you really enjoy? So I say, instead of trying to force to create things that are strict habits and you must, you've got to do things that you know are going to make you happy, because if they make you happy, they will help your hormones.
That's fantastic, because I still feel like these issues, PCOS, endometriosis, these conditions are not spoken about enough.
Yeah, and the inflammatory side of it is that a lot of things can increase our inflammatory markers. So it can be eating something that your body specifically doesn't agree with.
Inflammatory markers.
Yeah, so like for example, you know, you end up having signs of acne breakouts. Right. You have excessive hair growth, your hair is falling out, your periods disappear. We think that it's down to, I don't know, it can be anything. People put it down to the randomest of things. They say, oh no, I had one really bad night out, but it might actually be the things that are laying underneath the surface. Are you eating enough protein every day? Because protein is very important for us. It doesn't have to be meat protein. It can be vegan options of protein. Are you drinking enough water? Are you sleeping well? And we don't actually think about these things. And as students, more than anything, are you sleeping well is a big question, because yes, I understand that there are deadlines, there are exams, there are so many things going on, but only if you pour into you will, you know, inflammation be better, and inflammation can also come up as brain fog. You don't want brain fog when you're sitting in an exam. So these things matter too.
How much do you think there's still there to do to spread awareness?
Oh, loads, because I will, every time I meet somebody new, I'll be like, oh, do you know what PCOS is? And a lot of the time I'll hear no. And so I think just talking about it, being more open to talk about your hormones, being more open to talk about anything that it is you're going through. At the end of the day, as humans, there are so many of us that surely somebody else is going through a similar experience, and many of us are going through similar experiences. So I think it's just about being open and vulnerable. And you know what? There may be a few people in the room who may experience PCOS, endometriosis, whatever you're going through, but they might not speak up. And that too is okay, because you should only speak up when you're ready. So this doesn't mean that you must be like, oh, I have PCOS and put your hand up. But if there's one thing that you take from this, just take it that you can improve your lifestyle just by a little bit. You don't have to talk about it. You surely don't have to go and make an Instagram page about it if you didn't want to. You can just know that by taking care of yourself, you're also making a difference. And then if you feel comfortable, the next time you end up speaking to that person one-on-one, because it's a little less intimidating, you might be able to say, oh, this might help you.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the change.
So how would you say it would be, how would you figure out and understand as a woman that what you're going through might actually be PCOS?
If you're experiencing hormonal imbalances like irregular periods, excessive hair growth, extreme acne, extreme fatigue, those can be signs of PCOS. However, I say this to everybody because you shouldn't wait for a diagnosis to make changes in your lifestyle. If a lot of things can be changed through lifestyle changes, and you know you're experiencing these hormonal imbalance like symptoms, then try changing your lifestyle and see if it makes a difference. And if it makes a difference, then great, go and get that diagnosis if you wanted to, but you've already started making change.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
okay.
you. Are there any questions from the audience?
Well, I mean, I have one question,
Yeah.
but it's not like strictly about, this.
Yes.
But it just, from your perspective, I feel that like being a woman, you basically like, you've been asked to be like very like, again, like kind, sweet, understanding, but then at the same time, you also want to be like a businesswoman, like you have your company, you're growing, that with your image as well. So like us, like when we are artists as well, we kind of do the same thing. So we have to use our face as like our brand, and that kind of stuff. And I feel like it can be very hard sometimes to like open up to people as well and like show that vulnerability as a woman.
Yes.
And talk about these things as well with women, because like there's sometimes like this kind of competition going on like 24/7, and like you always have to show that like you're strong and like you're sure about yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you balance that out, like for your business and like, but being a woman and talking about very vulnerable things, how do you balance that out? Like,
So I think this is probably more recent, maybe in the last couple of years, but I've really recognized that I don't have to be strong, and I don't have to be tidy, I don't have to be on top of my laundry. If you were to see my morning routine, it is absolutely chaotic. Yes, I get my vitamins in, but am I running around in my PJs till about 11 a.m. trying to unload the dishwasher and put away my clothes and feed my child? Yes. And I think when you're running a business, yes, people want to see that put together side of you, but people also want to understand and see that, hey, like sometimes shit is hard, and that's okay. Sorry, I don't know if I can say that. Yeah, but and that is okay. And I also think when you are growing your brand, people want to resonate with a brand that they can kind of see themselves in, and you're not always going to see yourself in a perfectly painted picture. You want to see the cracks, and you want to see the fine lines, and you want to see all of that. So just be okay with showing it. That version of yourself that feels like has to be perfect and put together, and has to, like, for me as well, I was saying this on the last walk that we had, and we were talking about what's one thing that you've like evolved into or learned about yourself. I always felt as though having PCOS, I need to keep myself extremely tidy, and I should always get my eyebrows done, I should always do this and that. I stopped getting my eyebrows done maybe about 6 months ago now. I just stopped because I realised it's not me. I actually really like my bushy eyebrows, and I like having a hair that's like coming over here, and I recognise that I'm trying to, and I have done this before, where I'm trying to fit into this version of me that everyone wants me to be. But if you try and be the version of you that you are, more like, it's uncomfortable in the moment, but you'll realise that more people will actually resonate and appeal to that than just trying to be the same as everything else.
Absolutely. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's okay.
And that's how you've built your community. That's now
Yeah.
enormous.
Yeah,
So-
thank you.
Of course, of course. So, what are the next events that you've got planned out?
So we've got another PCOS walk coming up at the end of this month, which I'm looking forward to. We've still got some tickets actually for that, so it is on my Eventbrite. My Eventbrite is just Fitness with Keisha.
Where is it going to be?
It is in Kensington Gardens.
Amazing.
Yes, sorry, I was trying to remember. It's in Kensington Gardens. And I believe it's on the 29th of March. So we have a walk then. And then just looking ahead and just planning to... I am actually currently in the middle of a little bit of a rebrand for my business. Just changing some colours and stuff. I've got red hair now, so I can't have the same picture. So yeah, things like that. And then gonna maybe do like a little PCOS picnic in the summer, which will be lovely, and with some online events, so that will be good.
Amazing. So, finally, what is some word of wisdom and some piece of advice that you would want to give us and to the people who are watching us, considering the performance side of it and everything that
I would say
around.
do things that fill your cup first. Do things that fill your cup at the start of the day. A life is so similar to the demonstration that we get every time we sit on an aeroplane. You have to put your mask on before you put on anyone else's. So pour into yourself and then pour into everything else that you do, because you will do it better, you will do it well, and your hormones will also function a lot better like that.
Keisha,
Yeah.
Thank you so
You're
much.
so
Thank you
welcome.
for being here.
That's okay.
And thank you for answering our questions.
That's okay. Thank you so much for this.
Of course, it was lovely having you.
Thank you.